Hi, everyone. So today we have something pretty cool for you. We have Jeff Holiday here doing an interview, and we have Adam from I Would Rather Be Talking Science. So for anyone that might not know who you are, Jeff, would you mind explaining a little bit about what you do as a content creator?
Sure. I got started first and foremost making videos because I was kind of tired of repeating myself over and over again when I was having arguments online. Usually things about like anti-GMO stuff, anti-vax stuff, trying to fight against some of these wingnuts. So I decided one day to make a video to just compile it all together. So when I would have these arguments, I'd just be like, you know what, here, just watch my video. You'll know everything that I'm trying to say, and none of them ever watched it. So instead, I just started making more videos, and now I function predominantly as a debunker of pseudoscience. That's first and foremost what I do, and I also like to do some entertainment and investigating into cults. I like that a lot too.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people who know you in the pseudoscience community know you from Jillian Epperly and the Jilly Juice debacle.
Yep, my girlfriend.
So I'm just curious, how was it that you first were made aware of Jillian and really caught on to what she was doing online?
Sure. I'd say it had to have been about a year and a half ago or so. Somebody sent me her name and said this woman had some really crazy claims. She believes that this certain type of health drink is going to like regrow your arms. I'm like, okay, that sounds pretty dumb, but I've got a lot on my plate at the moment, so I'm gonna have to kind of hold off on that. And I set it aside. Then another person showed up like a week later, and then another person, and then another person. About a month to a month and a half of people just kind of like poking me a little bit, like you really should just take a look. I sat down, and within 20 minutes of looking into who she was and what she believes, it was like love at first sight. Sparks flew, and she became one of the most important people in my life for a while. So yeah, it's pretty serious. We have a pretty intense relationship. I'll say that.
um, so how did it come about that you were contacted to be the one to confront her on the Dr. Phil show? Because I mean, that is such an honor. I cannot say
I
how much
mean,
that is.
it's an interesting one. It's an interesting one because, um, the thing about TV versus making your best refutation or your best argument is, especially with Dr. Phil, like there's a bit of a spectacle to it, but there were other people who were very strongly against Jillian Epperly, and some of them might have even been much smarter than me, and maybe would have even been doing a better job than me. But it just so happened that because of the videos that I had made on her had pretty much gotten the most traction out of anything that had been produced so far, that led enough people who were contacted by the executive producers at Dr. Phil to say that they should contact me. And so one day I got an email in from Dr. Phil's people, and they basically asked, would you be interested in coming to LA and confronting Jillian like to her face? And are you serious? Yes, of course. Oh my God, 100%. And that was a very long process too, because for the longest time, Jillian she said that she wanted to be on the show, and then she said she didn't want to be on the show, and then she said she did, and went back and forth. But while that happened for a good 3 months, I believe it was, I sat there and I was writing up these long form refutation papers for the producers at Dr. Phil. And each one would be like, this is a claim of Jillian Epperly that Jilly Juice can do this. Here is the actual science behind whether that is true or not. Here is a bunch of citations for why that cannot possibly work. And then I'd send that one off. Then I'd work on the next one. I probably sent them something like 60 pages worth of documents even before Jillian agreed to do
One
it.
question is, how do you give them a citation of how it doesn't cure the gay? That must have been a hard citation to get.
that was a pretty hard citation to give, um, because basically what I had to do for that one was I had to build a list of hypothetical situations by which there's a biological basis for homosexuality or not, which, you know, there's still a lot of contention in the science community about whether or not there's such a thing as a gay gene. And then the easiest way to debunk that was, could fermented cabbage and salt in water, could that alter genetic code? Well, that's not really that hard to debunk. So yeah, but I did in fact actually do that. I read that whole fucking thing out. So yeah, that was a lot of work. It was, I mean, that was the crazy thing about it too, was, you know, this is months of preparation, months of work going into it while I'm making the YouTube videos, and doing all this stuff on top of it, and then, you know, we get to Hollywood. It's 3 days of prep while we're in Hollywood. Get to the studio, it's like 6 hours worth of prep before we even go on stage. 40 minutes, and bam, in a car headed towards the airport, and it's all over with. Oh man, wow. It feels like I didn't even get to orgasm. What the shit?
Yeah, kind of a tease.
Yeah, a little bit.
So has she ever contacted you personally after the show?
No, me and Jillian have never actually had a direct confrontation, except for on Dr. Phil specifically. We've never instant messaged. We've never emailed. I've been I've been tempted to recently, because there's a pest of an anti-vaxxer who stalks my social media quite often. And she recently started beefing a little bit with Jillian, and she actually has stolen some of Jillian's videos wholesale and just re-uploaded them on her channel. And I don't think Jillian understands that she can actually take steps to protect her intellectual work. But, you know, but the thing is, fair is fair. I think Jillian Epperly is an abhorrent human being, but at the same time, like, you know, I don't think anybody should be stealing from her either.
Yeah, well,
So,
depending on the person that the anti-vaxxer that's going against you and re-uploading that stuff, if she has a larger platform, that's potentially some of Jillian's more dangerous stuff being put out there, right?
True. It is. Thankfully, it's just a pest. It's a tiny anti-vaxxer. It's not a big one. I don't even want to say her name, because she's just such a pest, and that's what she wants is attention. But yeah, she's just obnoxious. She stalks my Instagram, and like downloads videos off my Instagram and puts like, "This is evidence of being vaccine injured." I'm like,
oh my gosh,
really? All
No,
right,
I just store your exploitable ones with you on the green screen. I have those in my back pocket if I ever need them. That's the most.
You should. I love it when that's what I love doing, that putting it out there, because I also love it when other creators who do a lot of green screen work will just randomly take like a really unflattering picture of themselves and just upload it, like, do whatever you want. Okay, yes, thank you, I will. I love that stuff.
So besides Jillian, who would you say is the most batshit crazy person you've ever encountered?
Ooh. Well, Jillian, I don't even think Jillian's the craziest. I think the craziest person that I have ever made a video on, I didn't debunk them. I just made a comedy video, a Hemlock Moonwolf video, and that's Lord Stephen Christ. He's probably the craziest one I have ever come across. But he's not a pseudoscientist. He just thinks he's the second coming of Christ. As far as a pseudoscientist goes, I'd say Sunfruit Dan is probably right behind Jillian. But he toned back a lot of what he was doing after he started getting attention. So that's kind of good. That's the YouTube, I don't know. I don't know what you want to call it. The YouTube environment kind of correcting itself. Like, he starts getting a lot of heat for some of the more ridiculous things that he's done, and then he tones it back a little bit, which is good, which is pretty good. He still tells people to drink turpentine, which is awful, but at least he's not making videos on how to properly squirt it up your asshole. So there's that. Yeah, the most dangerous, though, the 100% most dangerous cult or pseudoscientists out there is the Jim Humble, Carrie Rivera, Miracle Mineral Supplement Bleach Cult. They're probably the most dangerous. Them and anti-vaxxers.
I can see that.
Yeah. So I know there was a state of emergency declared in Washington. Was there one declared in Eugene, or what is it, Portland, that you're in as well?
I'm in
Or what's
Eugene.
the state? Oregon.
Thankfully Oregon hasn't really had a state of emergency yet. We did have some small outbreaks over the past couple of years, but this year so far it looks like we're doing pretty good. Instead, it's all like Clark County, Washington, and yeah, no. Thankfully, we're not hit that hard by it. Not because our vaccination rate is so high. This is a very crunchy, hippie, crusty kind of place, you know. Everybody'd rather just smoke pot than get their kids vaccinated. So if measles touches down in Eugene, it's gonna be bad, real bad, super bad.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing about it too is, these Eugene is kind of a haven for the spiritualist kind of vibe, the naturalist kind of vibe, putting crystals up your butt kind of crowd. And these people have lots of kids, and these kids go to school. But Eugene is also one of the better funded districts in the state for children with disabilities. So a lot of people will take advantage of that, and they'll relocate to make sure that their disabled children have the ability to have a really good school program, a lot of facilities, a lot of assistance. So that's the part that's kind of the powder keg of worst case scenarios. You have a bunch of ignorant ass hippie parents not vaccinating their filthy disease spawn, who are now going to school with all of these kids who have complicated medical situations, and it's a powder keg waiting to happen.
Too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like a perfect storm.
Yep, it really is.
Yeah, luckily, at least in my state, I just recently saw that they allow children to, defy their parents' wishes and vaccinate themselves. Like one of the few states that allow that. So that's one good thing for my state. But there's other things that are disappointing about my state. But I'll take that one.
Yeah.
The fact that there's even an exception for vaccines for philosophical reasons is enough to be disappointed.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, what philosophy is against vaccines? Like that.
Well, there's a lot of them. First of all, though, which state are you in? I forget.
I'm Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Oh, Pennsylvania. Okay, yeah. There's a lot of philosophical beliefs that come into play with the whole vaccine, but really a lot of it comes down to a sense of fear. But it doesn't always necessarily have to be that way. For example, there's an outbreak of measles right now in the country. I want to say it's in New Jersey, and it's because of the Amish. And that's based on their world philosophy. And my disagreements with Amish philosophy do not start with vaccinations. They might end with vaccinations, but they don't start with vaccinations. But I mean, that's their inherent lived choice. And the thing is, the reason why that's not really necessarily a philosophical problem for the rest of the world is that Amish children have Amish schools. So the whole issue that we really come down to when it comes to children being unvaccinated is mitigating the risk factors of those children spreading vaccine-preventable diseases to kids that otherwise could be harmed, which is why we keep them out of public schools. Well, they're not going to public schools, so it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. But the big issue when it comes to basic public schools is a matter of arrogance. That's really what it comes down to. There's this guy, and I was just looking at him today on my stream. He's getting a little blurb in my next video, even though I don't need to, but I'm gonna. I don't need to, but I am definitely going to bring this guy up. What's his name? Where is he? Oh, where'd you go? Here we go. Is this doctor, Jack Wolfson. He's an anti-vaccine doctor named Jack Wolfson. And a few years back, he got in a lot of heat because he did an interview with CNN. And in that interview, he said, I don't have to worry about other people's children possibly getting diseases because I'm not going to risk my child for their children. My child is pure. His words, pure. And he got a lot of heat for that. And he recently has been teaming up with people like Larry Cook and Robert Kennedy Jr. and those types of people.
I hate
So,
Larry Cook.
Me too. I really hate Larry Cook.
Well, I think he's kind of came down on your page a little bit, right? Or came down on you a little bit?
No.
I might maybe get mixed up with someone else.
Wait. Larry, so okay. This is what's so fucked up. So we got this sorry, I curse a lot, just so you know. Like, yeah. Okay. So Larry Cook, you know, he's renowned for making these GoFundMes to get up money for advertising money to spread stories of children who were killed by vaccines all over Facebook. It's one of the reasons why Facebook is really pissed off at the anti-vax cult right now. So this outbreak happens in Washington State, right? It happens in January, mid to late-ish January. This is 100% real. January 29th, Larry Cook starts another GoFundMe page, Parent Vaccine Education Campaign, Stop Vaccine Mandates. And right at the top, it says, approximately half of these funds raised will target Washington State specifically, with the rest going to the rest of the United States. And what is it about to be? To talk about how vaccines aren't safe. In the middle of an epidemic of measles, he is targeting this state specifically.
Yeah.
I have words.
This dude is a disease fetishist.
Well, and the thing too is like infants that die from SIDS, they're so ravenous to find these stories and twist it to their narrative. And I know he's come under fire quite a few times because parents have found stories of their children on his page where he said it's from vaccines and they're like, no, it's not.
Yep.
And they've gotten really angry and made public statements about it.
Absolutely. He is a parasite. He is a disease fetishist parasite who weaponizes people's grief. And the thing is, too, when he and the rest of his little cult and the rest of these anti-vaxxers, they do find somebody who is vulnerable. Maybe their child died of SIDS. Maybe the child died of whatever. Their tactics are right up there with cult-like behaviors. Like when I call them a cult, I'm not being hyperbolic. These people follow almost a textbook definition of tactics used by cults to indoctrinate people. They find somebody who's in a vulnerable position and they do something called love bombing them. They all show up, they shower them with attention, they shower them with affection. Sometimes they shower them with money in the form of crowdfunding campaigns. They feed them everything that they need to hear. Everything that they need to hear. And one of the most insidious parts about this, too, is a parent who has lost a child has more grief than damn near. I have a hard time thinking of somebody who would have more grief and have a harder emotional time than having to experience that. One of the most common situations that somebody who lost a child can find themselves in is an immense amount of guilt. I did something wrong, or there was something wrong with me, or I passed something on to my kid, or maybe I could have taken them to the doctor sooner. Maybe I could have spotted something. And what these anti-vax people do, what these fucking cultists do, is they do the perfect thing that person needs to hear. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter if you took them to the doctor. It wouldn't matter if you did this. It wouldn't matter if you did that. The reason why they're dead is because somebody lied to you and told you vaccines were safe. It's not your fault. And to a person who is grieving that hard, that is the perfect thing for them to hear. And that's why these people are so evil. They're vile.
Great.
Yeah.
It's like predator tactics.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know the Genetically Modified Skeptic channel, he does a pretty good job at kind of displaying what is a cult, what's not a cult, going through some things. And I want to say he might have touched on that one, but at the very least, I know that a lot of things that he did touch on, for some of them, definitely match with a lot of that. So I definitely would agree with that being a cult.
100%, 100%. He's a really
Oh,
good
yeah,
channel
great channel.
too. That dude's smart. Oh my god, smarter than me. Jesus, that dude impresses me
Oh, yeah.
all the time. Yeah.
So when you're talking to these people that have fallen prey to the misinformation, what do you find the best tactic to have a conversation with them that doesn't end up in a screaming match, as we all know it does many times?
Ooh. Well, okay. The thing when you're talking to an anti-vaxxer, you can't talk statistics. They won't believe in your statistics. They'll believe that because to be an anti-vaxxer requires you to fall into a sense of conspiracy that is beyond rational, way beyond rational. You have to believe in something that is so incredibly logically inconsistent with everything else that's in the world. You have to believe that every contradictory bit of evidence has somehow been doctored, or that you yourself are intentionally lying to them. So you can't do that. You can't talk to an anti-vaxxer about stats. You can't talk to an anti-vaxxer about risk assessment and about, this, that, and the other thing. Sometimes if somebody is on the fence and they're not a full-blown anti-vaxxer, sometimes those things can help, but it's rare. What does help, and what I have found is probably the most effective one, and it's why I've started doing it in my videos, even though it really bothers people. Show them videos of babies with pertussis. Show them videos of babies with fucking measles. Show them the consequences. You can't make them think that your prospective ephemeral concepts are more real than their prospective ephemeral concepts. You can't wage a war between the unseen with them, because to them the unseen is unquestionable. You have to show them what is real. You have to show them something they can't talk themselves out of and avoid. You can't do that. And only the most inhuman motherfucker on the planet can look at a video of a baby suffering from pertussis and be like, "Oh, that's not that bad."
They're hard to watch. Very, very
Yeah.
hard to watch.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but after a while you get used to them.
Yeah, unfortunately. But yeah,
Yeah.
I would love to see what your YouTube feed looks like.
Oh my god. It's terrible. It's awful. Oh my god.
yeah, I can only imagine.
So you just released a video about aliens causing autism.
Oh yeah.
Through inferior genetic modifying and engineering.
Yep, bumbling incompetent aliens made autism.
So,
yeah.
Do you want to get into that whole concept a little
I think
bit?
we do have to clarify though. It was Hemlock Moonwolf that released it, not Jeff Holiday.
True.
That's right. That's right. I did the editing, but it was the spiritual the level 57 Swami Hemlock Moonwolf who is on camera.
And he seems to be really enjoying your Uncle Ted.
Yeah, I had to kick my Uncle Ted out of the house. I'll tell the story at some point in the video in the future of why I had to kick him out. But yeah, so Uncle Ted went to go live in the ashram with Hemlock Moonwolf. And Hemlock apparently found this website about how aliens, apparently, and this is not a new concept. This has been around for decades. Aliens apparently have been coming to the Earth and abducting people, which is not a new story. But in this one, they're doing genetic experiments, but they're really bad at them. They're just bad at genetics. Don't know why. And so they have inadvertently caused autistic alien hybrid babies. So if somebody is autistic out in the world, I hate to say it, but unfortunately you're the result of genetic experimentation involving aliens and hybrid aliens. And that's just, it's not your fault. But yeah, you're a result of alien experimentation. Maybe you could get a government check out of that one. I don't know.
They've mastered faster than light travel, but they just can't get the genetics quite right.
Can't figure it out. I don't know. It's weird. It's so, yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is though, like this isn't like a total ridiculous story. I mean, there's some credence to it too. I mean, after all, these aliens, they didn't just create autism. they experimented on themselves and made themselves sterile. So, but yeah, the whole thing is the creation of a guy named Michael Mencken, who I guess kind of just lost his mind. He's a very charming little old man who just kind of lost his mind, and he makes these hats, these ridiculous-looking hats that he lines with Velostat, which is plastic, a type of plastic, to block alien telepathy and mind probes. So it's charming. Although I had people really mad at me for making that video.
Why?
Like 2 people got really mad, and they're like, "This is low-hanging fruit. You're not debunking anything." And I'm like, "Does every video have to be debunking? Can't sometimes a video just be for fun?"
It should be.
Yeah.
If you're debunking everything, you're not going to get a video out. I mean, it takes a lot more research to debunk than it is just to take the piss out of something.
It does. Although oddly enough, the stupid comedy video took me longer than most of them, just because I had to do all the extra effects, and it took me forever. But it's fun. It's fun. It's worth it. I love
So
it.
I'm just wondering how the alien hybrid autism people fit into the whole aliens engineered us from primates.
Ooh, see that like I don't think there's an actual answer out there yet, but I think I could probably hypothesize one. More than likely, there's more than one type of alien. You see, you got your gray aliens, your reptilian aliens. I'm sure somewhere out there, some dude who wears a fedora is writing up an essay about the elvish aliens. I'm sure. Like let's just be realistic about that one. So obviously, somebody who watched the movie Prometheus one too many times has cooked up a really good story about how the aliens
came out after the Ancient Alien show.
did it really? Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it did, didn't it? Huh. Yeah, I think they stole that from Ancient Aliens. I bet. They
The
had
one
to have.
guy even looks like the crazy haired dude
Aliens.
in the movie, the like stupid scientist.
He kind of does, doesn't he? Now that I'm thinking about it, yeah. That's crazy. God, that movie was so bad, though.
It was. It could have been like actually a decent movie if they changed the plot a lot.
There, it's you can't recreate excellence, especially not this day and age. There has not been a good Alien movie since Alien 3, and that's all there is to it. And I don't think we ever will.
No.
I mean, if Ridley Scott can't even come back and make a decent damn Alien movie, it's over. It's over. Pack it up, Hollywood. Don't do it again. Just leave it alone. God damn.
We don't need science too.
Mm-hmm. Jeez. And the Predator. Leave the Predator alone too. Oh my God.
Yeah, they've overdone that one.
That new one was off. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's all about alien autism right there, though. The new Predator. The Predators want to steal genetic code, and they came to Earth to steal our autism. That's legit. That's the legit plot of the movie. What is it with people and aliens and autism? I don't understand.
It's just,
Have you heard of Tila Tequila and her like latest I think you might have been just talking about it, her reptilian, she thinks she's a reptilian god or goddess.
Oh no. I have not looked into Tila Tequila in a little while, so I'm not really caught up on what she claims lately. But that sounds about right. I was talking about her a little bit the other day because I kind of feel really terrible for Tila Tequila. The reason she's insane is because, and this is true, she tried to kill herself back in the day.
I remember that, and I didn't actually know that until you mentioned that.
Yeah, she tried to kill herself. She was morbidly depressed, and she wanted to end her life. She tried to legitimately commit suicide, and because of her attempt, she suffered irreparable brain damage. She's been absolutely insane ever since. So when she's typing out things like "I am a reptilian, goddess of the moon," blah blah blah, or whatever the hell she says, that's legit brain damage talking. It's crazy. It's wild. Absolutely nuts.
Poor girl.
Yeah. I know. I feel awful for her, but I mean, at the same time too, you can't stop anybody's freedom of speech even if they're brain damaged. So at least it's entertaining, I guess.
In a way, yeah. I guess it's how people respond to her.
Right. Yeah. I kind of get a little annoyed when she goes off on Nazi stuff. That stuff's always really weird.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Yeah.
was weird.
Her and Alex Chu, they should hook up. They should get together. Alex Chu and Tila Tequila should be a power couple of Asian Hitler fetishists.
She did have that show on MTV where it was like basically like a bachelorette show.
Yep. Yep, that was a terrible, terrible, terrible show. I think that was before her suicide attempt, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to look it up again. It's been so long.
Yeah, I think she was like somewhat like normal then. Not really that's the best word to use, but
Normal as she's ever been.
yeah, she didn't say stuff about reptilians and stuff back then.
Yeah. At least not on MTV, although that might have improved the ratings. You know.
I don't know enough about this to
Yeah.
talk about it because I'm behind on this whole thing. I'm probably a good thing.
Yeah, she has subsequently received negative attention for her support of Adolf Hitler, as well as anti-Semitic and white nationalist comments, which led her to be removed from Celebrity Big Brother. Oh my God.
Is she still allowed on Twitter?
I think she was booted from Twitter, but I think she's still on Instagram. If
Why
I'm
would a
mistaken.
conspiracy theorist want to be on a show called Big Brother?
That is a really good question. Huh. What the hell? Yeah, it's weird. Weird stuff. Crazy. She's so nuts. She's so absolute. She's like an alien. Still cute, though.
I'll have to look it up, get caught up on it. I might be rage-induced, but it'll be all right. I'll deal with it.
I mean, it's hard to get mad at her, like, when you have the context of how fried she is. It's a little bit better.
I don't know what the next topic is.
Neither do I. So, okay. So I recently had an interesting experience on Twitter, and I know that you've kind of had probably similar situations, but
Sure.
yeah, as you know, Kevin Folda gets doxxed a lot on Twitter by a lot of different people, and I kind of unwittingly walked into a shit show, and his wife was being doxxed along with her business, and I was tweeting at these people. I'm like, why are you doing this? Like, doxing is not cool. Like, I mean, he's just a scientist trying to do his job. He's not harming anyone. And I must have got close to 1,000 tweets over a 2-day period. It was insane.
Really?
Yeah. And people were asking me if I was a man. Most ridiculous stuff. It got to the point where I was just like, yeah, I have a huge cock. Do you want to see? And from me saying that doxing is not right because he's just like a scientist trying to do his job turned into a whole debate about GMOs, biotechnology, all kinds of stuff. And people were asking me all kinds of insane questions. And this one woman, she was kept hounding me on this one particular question about a very specific genetic engineering with specific trees. And I was just like, to be completely honest, I've never worked with trees, so I don't feel comfortable talking on this. And we can both imagine the name calling that turned into.
Oh, of course.
I'm just wondering, what kind of situations have you found yourself in from trying to do similar things, or have you had people like trying to dox you for standing up for scientists or science?
I've been doxxed a lot for a lot of reasons. For the most part, my pseudoscience stuff, I usually don't get hit as much. One of the main reasons why I believe is I do most of my talking through my videos. Um, for instance, like a lot of people on Facebook is where a lot of the pseudoscience fights, the debates, the battles will take place. Twitter, not nearly as much. Not nearly as much. There are some. But I've definitely gotten people looking into my life and harassing me because of anti-GMO stuff. In fact, there's an entire stream I had called "Confronting My Hacker," where there was this young guy named Chris, who was absolutely convinced that I was a shill, that I was a pharma shill, a government shill, and that I had been hacking him. And he started looking into my life. Lots of people have. For the most part, though, I tend to usually avoid that. These days, it's a lot more quiet. But recently, this one's actually rather interesting to me. There was a guy, a rather semi-famous anti-vaxxer, who showed up on my page because I was answering the 5 questions for pro-vaxxers by Dr. Stephen Baker. And this dude's name is Matthew Thiel. And Matthew Thiel is the father of a young girl who died back in 2014. She died from SIDS. He got love bombed by the anti-vax cult, and now he goes around and does speaking engagements and talks about how vaccines kill kids. And he showed up to my page and started going off on me. And I showed him compassion because the dude is obviously still grieving his dead kid. But he at one point said, you need to have me on your channel and you need to interview me. And I responded with pretty much the same thing I always respond to anytime I talk to anti-vaxxers outside of like a video. Especially if they're suffering from a situation of grief, a situation of loss, they have my compassion. They absolutely have my unquestioning, no strings attached compassion. 100%. It's very easy for me to give and very easy for me to empathize. What they do not get is my fucking patience. They don't get my patience, and they don't get my platform. So, for me, that's kind of how I have to compartmentalize things when I have these conversations, when I tackle these topics, is that's how I maintain the distance. Unfortunately, for people like Kevin, and I love Kevin Fulta is a great guy. Unfortunately for him, he is not just like a content creator, he's also a public scientist. And that means he has to be out there in the public field. He has to have himself out there in ways that I don't. And not only is he, having to deal with anti-GMO lunatics, and some of those people are lunatics. Like they'll burn your whole damn crops down. These people are insane. But he also has to deal with other aspects of the scientific community trying to take the shit out of him. And it's god awful. And I have an immense amount of respect and immense amount of compassion for the things that Kevin has to endure. He's a strong man because he does endure in the face of it. So mad respect to him.
And the anti-vaxxer that you're talking about that hit your page, that's the one I was thinking of was Larry, but I had the names wrong because the one that hit up you.
Oh yeah.
He is the one that went to Z-Dog MD's page or site during live stream with
That's right.
Paul Offit. So.
Yeah. Is there still video of that confrontation? Because I have not seen that.
There should be. I can track it down and send it over to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanna see, just in case this dude tries to show up at my damn house.
Yeah, because that's the thing is they were pounding the window asking for a platform. They wanted to go in and give a book and talk alongside the doctors and all that about it. So.
Absolutely. No. And I mean that's the like if they can't do it through legitimacy, they'll try and do it through bullying tactics or intimidation tactics. Like there's really there's nothing that's off the table when it comes to people, and they succumb to this type of pseudoscience extremism. Like they'll go ape shit on you, you know.
Yeah, like that one guy. I believe he did. It was part of your wing nut roundup. The one guy that basically was saying he'd basically shoot you if you showed up to vaccinate their kids. The guy that looked like he was
Oh yeah.
a mechanic or something.
Yeah, yeah. If you do not like that, let me know. Yeah. That dude was wonderful. I think a lot of these people are just really confused. They're really confused and they're really scared. And they fall into a certain type of psychological trap, you know. So in a lot of ways, I do. That's the thing. I don't hate anti-vaxxers. I really don't. I have a lot of sympathy for anti-vaxxers. It's the people that direct it. It's the people that monetize it. It's the people that hoist themselves up into a celebrity status that they directly, you know, profit off of these. These are the people that I have a problem with. But anti-vaxxers, it's even that guy, even that crazy wingnut being like, if you come to my house to vaccinate my kids, I'll shoot you, blah, blah, blah. Like, I have sympathy for that guy. You know, I'll make fun of him a little bit, but I still have sympathy for him because he doesn't know any better. There's something in his brain that makes him think that this is reality. This is how things actually are.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and like I mean, there's the anti-vaxxers out there that think if they turn their backs for a second around a nurse or a doctor, they're just gonna like sneak a vaccination in there, and that's like I mean that would never happen.
I probably not. Yeah, I mean at least not in this country. That's for sure. I don't know. You know, one of the things that's really kind of frustrating about doing this too is after a while you start feeling yourself kind of drifting into an almost desire for radicalism. Like I feel sometimes that I am slipping into an emotional feeling of radicalism because I get so frustrated with some of this stuff. So frustrated that you know sometimes I kind of wish like you see the staggering amounts of people kids contracting illnesses and dying in developing worlds. Sometimes I wish that there was a team of guerrilla trained soldiers sneaking into you know of Nigeria and going into all the wards with the kids and making sure like as they have age they get the vaccine stick and they just start
just like a
guerrilla
just
vaccinating
like a vaccine AR-15, right? Just shoots vaccines and
yeah.
get all of them.
The one thing that I find really scary is people like Dr. Mumbi, because she is in Africa, and unfortunately, Africa is a continent where there's still polio, there's still very dangerous illnesses that we are fortunate enough not to experience here. And then you have people like her who is probably a trusted public figure in her area.
Sure.
And she's telling them not to get vaccinated, not to trust this. And they probably need vaccinations more than we do because they are around polio. And that makes me so sad.
Yeah, it's a lot of that too is a situation of cultural difference. Like I'm trying to remember Dr. Mumbi Saraki, she's in Kenya. Yeah. She's in Kenya. And if I'm not mistaken, you can actually still get in legal trouble for witchcraft in Kenya.
I would believe that.
So like that's the thing is, and that's not like a statement of like, oh, Kenya's all backwards and everything. It's more that there is a different type of priority that is going on in a lot of these places. And unfortunately, when you do have a very real reality of like, there is not the same degree of education, there's not the same degree of secularism in a country, people who are in positions of trust, positions in public trust or positions in power with some of these bad ideas will maintain and keep having people set back further and further and further. I mean, you've got things like the effort of golden rice over in like the Philippines, trying to save 500 million children a year from dying, 500 million children a year from going blind. And because of people not really understanding this type of thing, and because of the wrong people being fed the wrong information, you've got activists over there burning test fields. Like, this is abominable,
And
absolutely abominable.
unfortunately,
Now the worst,
the dollar for all those efforts to push that message goes a lot farther out there than it does out here in the States.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, and that's what's so insane about this too, is Larry Cook gets $10,000 to push a message on targeted ads in Facebook. $10,000 for a campaign in, say, the Philippines or in Kenya, that would be massive. We're talking like TV commercials.
But isn't there good evidence that he's also living off of the proceeds of these GoFundMe's that he's for these ads?
There is some evidence that points towards maybe he does, but what's even more suspicious about Larry is that he very specifically does not show breakdowns of where the money is going or what it necessarily is going to cost at times. It also depends on which campaign you're talking about, because not all of them are written the same way. So, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, he still has like a long-standing GoFundMe that has accrued tens upon tens of thousands of dollars, and he could just live off of that one and do other GoFundMe's, because you can have multiple running at the same time for all of his ad efforts. So,
and he's probably the first person to call anyone a shill too.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I'm a student. I would appreciate some shill bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Just putting that out there.
Yeah, dude, I gotta have some respect for the grift game, even though it's disgusting. But this is the worst part about the situation. The reason why I even bring up the Africa thing is, like, we have to understand that a lot of these people fall into this misinformation, these bad ideas, because of a cultural situation. They don't have access to the same type of government infrastructure. They don't have access to the same type of education that we do. So in a lot of ways, you can understand that because of a circumstantial situation, these people might believe that vaccines are dangerous. We don't have that excuse.
No.
We don't have that excuse. They do. They are still developing. They still have these problems that they have to iron out. And honestly, like, just making sure nobody starves to death is still a concern in a lot of these countries. So I can forgive them for not necessarily jumping on the vaccine train. We don't have that excuse in this country. There's no reason why this should be happening. Right now in England, because it's over in England too. Let's see, where did I put that? In England, between January 1st and October 31st of last year, 913 lab-confirmed cases of measles. 913. That was 3 times more than we had in the States, and the difference in population is staggering. England doesn't have these problems like they do in Africa, yet for some reason they have a massive problem with anti-vax shit. Like, it's all over the place. We're first world countries. There's no reason this should be happening. None.
Yeah.
So it's heartbreaking and it's horrifying to see happen in real life. And as much as, like, I love the fight and I love the battle, after a while it gets exhausting and it wears on me. Something fierce.
Oh yeah. One Facebook conversation with an anti-vaxxer is exhausting.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's tough, but I mean, like, it's worth the fight, and as far as the YouTube game goes, it pays not bad. It's not bad.
I appreciate the videos.
Yeah, no, I mean, if I tallied it out, like, I make, like, if I was tallying it out to like a 40-hour a week job, I probably make something like $12-13 an hour, basically. after everything's all added up. So it's definitely not like the highest paying job I've ever had, but it is probably the most emotionally rewarding out there. And that's why I'm happy to do it, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's definitely a blessing if you enjoy doing what you do and make a living out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. That's great.
So do you think we could get you to say that little shout out we talked about?
Oh, God. Because we're both oddly fans of the same certain French Canadian person. What do you want him to say?
Maybe just say hello to the French Canadian audience and whatever else may come to mind.
Hello to all of them out there in the French Canada, the Quebecois. I want to tell you, if you want to make sure you are capable of all and every bit of biological research, first do some work with the monkey. The monkey and work with the monkey will make you very high IQ. This is true. And once you have attained a certain level of expertise, maybe you can come on my show, the public space.
Perfect.
Oh, he's a gem, isn't he? He's a gem.
I actually didn't really know who he was until maybe a few weeks ago. And like I'm pretty like I'm in Canada and I'm pretty close to Quebec. I'm just like, oh God, this cancer's so close to me.
Well, you know, I knew of him for years because he was a guest on The Drunken Peasants, and I've been a huge fan of The Drunken Peasants for a long time. And he did a rap battle with a Christian YouTuber named G-Man. And I thought he did great, and I thought he was a really interesting and funny guy. I hated his accent, but I've never really liked French accents. And then, you know, I thought the world of him for the longest time. And then he started coming out with this stuff, and then he's all about the race realism, and I'm like, you know what? I'm done. I'm out. I'm good. I'm all right. I don't think I like it anymore. Well,
No, that'll kill it.
Hey, you know,
Wait till I find out that white people are part Neanderthal.
oh God. He knows. He knows. He knows. His I'm sure it's all explained in his book or pamphlet. I don't know if it actually I don't know if it actually ever became big enough to be considered a book. It might still be a pamphlet. I try not to be too mean about that guy, but yeah.
Oh, well, I know you have your hockey game to go to, so we'll give you some time to get ready for that. But thank you so much for like spending the time and talking with us and doing this interview.
Yeah, sorry I was a little late to get to it. I like I said, you know, wife's recovering from the illness, and she was like, I don't want a wine. I'm like, whatever you want, I'll go get it for you. And she's like, okay, I want this sandwich from here, and I want this soup from here. And I'm like, I got the map of Eugene in my head. I'm like, we're up here, and then to there, and then then back.
Yep.
I'll be right back.
Jens deserves it. She's a gem.
She does. She puts up with my shit. I mean, she deserves it. She definitely deserves it. She is an oak of a human. She's wonderful. Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
So yeah, thank you so much. Enjoy your hockey game and
yeah, go Generals. All right. Bye, guys.
All right, bye.